One heart, one way, and welcome back to another episode of my journey with faith. And if you are a returning subscriber, welcome back. If you are new here, welcome to EverythingSphe. And in this series, I just take you with me on how I started out with God and where I am today through finding Christ and everything, all things related to my journey with faith. That's what we're talking about here. And since you are new here, please go ahead and subscribe. And if you're already subscribed, please make sure that you click the notification bell so that you can be notified whenever I upload again. Let us pick up where we left off. I'm not quite sure. I did try to watch my previous videos, but I didn't really get the time, and I apologize for that. But I'm sure that I've taken you guys through when I fell out of church and came back into the arms of God. And I took you through my confirmation as well as my on-trial journey. I'm not quite sure that I shared some things, but I'm just going to be giving you guys a quick recap, and then we're going to touch base on what life is looking like currently. And then when we're done with that, I'm going to give you a little surprise, which is dissecting the hymn book here on YouTube, because I did explain on my TikTok page that I'm going to be digressing a little from posting on TikTok because I'm focusing more on YouTube. Okay, with that being said, let's get on to the video. Beautiful Saturday. There's one more. If I'm not mistaken, we are currently on episode 4, and on episode 1 I gave you guys an introduction onto who I am, an insight into my life, where I came from with the church, where I fell off the wagon, and then where I came back onto the house of the Lord. And then on episode 2, that's when I spoke to you guys about my confirmation journey. I didn't really get into detail on what was discussed because it's also something that is private. It's something that's confidential. It's something that is within the church. You have to be a member of the church to know. And then I spoke to you guys about my on-trial journey. I went through a lot of trials and tribulations, but I came up top. And now we're going to talk about me as a full member and actually being placed into leadership roles in the church. So the year is 2026. I think that is where it all started. But I think it was building up in 2025, where I'm now an active member of the church. I attend all Wesley Guild things. I attend all church activities. I'm just seen, and I'm starting to be recognized by the elders of the church, older people. And on top of that, I entered a competition at my church where I ended up coming up top, and that's when I ended up standing up more to the members of the church community. And with that happening, all of that happening, people were now starting to notice that I was a young leader, and they nominated me as a society steward. I thought I was ready. I was very excited because I thought it was going to be easy. And of course, with the guidance of the head of the ship, I'm obviously going to be okay. But what I didn't realize is how much it's going to take out of me as a person, because what being a society steward means that you have to be the minister if the minister's not there. You have to take all the executive decisions. You have to take all the finance decisions. And sometimes personalities clash within that working space. So I can't have that happening at work. I have my personal life going on. There's things happening at home and in my relationship with my partner. And now I have the pressures of church sitting on my shoulder as well. So I was nominated and elected in December, and then we first had a meeting, and as I was trying to grasp things as things were going, I realized, no, this role I'm not fit for this role. It needs people with a higher level of, is it integrity? No, I have integrity. I think you just needed a level of strength. I think I didn't pray enough. I wasn't prepared enough for this role, and I just dove into the role head first without even knowing. But I really liked that I had a supportive partner who was willing to assist me and help me and guide me through anything. And My family was so supportive and excited, but I just saw that the pressures of church was just getting too much to handle for just one person. And I didn't see this, but I was slowly affecting the person that I stay with at home. I don't live with my partner, but whenever I came home from church, he would just see a different person. He would see a different side of me. Where now it's like, oh, okay, this is she's turning into something different. Because at one point he did talk to me after I had resigned as a society steward. He said, you know what, I'm glad that you just took the executive decision to resign on your own, because this position was starting to eat you alive. You were coming home not the same person. You were not happy anymore. You started hating church because of the pressure that came with that work that you had to do. You jump over hoops, you bend over backwards, but church people are never satisfied. People in general are never satisfied. When you're working with people, you have to leave room. Your people are not gonna be satisfied with things that you do. And even if they do vote for that decision, at the end of the day, Amagosa did this. So I was just like, you know what? Actually, you're right, babe. I'm too young for this. I can't go through it on my own. So yeah, and on top of that, our church suffered a terrible loss where our church collapsed. And now it was going to seem like I only resigned because of that. I stayed for about a month after everything fell apart. But as we were trying to rebuild the church, we ended up stepping on people's toes and people stepping on our toes. So I ended up thinking, so you know what? I can't do this anymore. So I stepped out. Now I'm just being bounced around from leadership position to leadership position, because as much as I'm no longer a society steward, I am now a society Wesley Guild convener for a certain C. If you know the 4 C's of the Wesley Guild. I could educate you guys about the Wesley Guild, but I'm not allowed to share the constitution outside of our church. That is where I am at today. I'm trying to reposition myself into this new leadership role, and I'm absolutely trying my best. And I like this one because it's at a small scale compared to my first leadership role. And I think I'm really liking it because it's just young people and people who already know the way that I function, so it should be easier to work with. And I like that I'm a more of a conversationalist. So being a leader doesn't necessarily mean that I'm telling you what to do, but it means that we are talking about what we're going to do. I hope that I'm making sense, and I think this is where I'm going to wrap up my journey with faith. And I feel like this is the only update that I can give you guys for now. And I think this is where I will wrap up the seriousness, or like the ukuhambisana nami is to like my journey with faith. And now it's going to derive into something else, which I'm still going to figure out, and I'm hoping that with your help we can do something else. Like you guys can ask me stuff about my church and my journey with faith. I'll be waiting for questions and comments in the comment section, and then we'll take the content from there, or I'll just brainstorm some things and then I'll come back with new ideas for you. But I'm really glad that you guys are enjoying the hymn dissections. And with that being said, let us get on to our hymn dissection, which was requested on TikTok, but I am going to take it up on here. Okay, proceeding on to our hymn dissection, we are going to be doing another jump. But for those who are not familiar with how the series go, please be sure to go onto my TikTok. It's EverythingSphe YouTube, but I'm going to leave my TikTok handle on the description box. And then you can just go and watch the few series. I think we've done like 3 episodes, and you guys can just keep yourselves up to speed, and then you can come back on here. So we're going to be moving on to the third section of Amaculo Waseweseli, which is Amaculo Alunge Nentlalo YobuKristu. So we're going to move on to subsection 2 of that section, which is Amaculo Abalisa Ngezulu. Shuti, these are hymns. This is a section of hymns, about hymns that are related to the heavens. Alungene enhlalo yezulu. So it's about the imagination that you have about what you're going to get mawufika ezulwini. And then the subsection is amaculo abalisa ngezulu. So you're just telling, I'm assuming that Jerusalem should be in this subsection because it describes indlela ekuphilwa ngayo ezulwini, even nezitrata zakhona ezegolide. But we're not in that hymn. We're going to be dissecting a requested hymn, which is 260, Ndinga ngakhe ndisithele. I hope that I execute this to the T. This hymn is about someone who wishes to right their wrongs so that they could go to heaven. It is someone who desires with all their heart to do things right. Someone who I wish I may, I wish I might, what can I do so that I could involve me so that I could get into heaven. This hymn is a 5-stanza hymn with the first word from every stanza being Ndinga ngakhe. It's a closer way of saying, how I wish I could. The first stanza reads, Ndinga ngakhe ndisithele kwimpazamo zonke ndibe nemizuzu ndedwa ekuthandazeni. Stanza 1 is someone who is praying to just hide away for even just a few moments from all distractions and have a few moments of prayer, a few moments alone just praying. And then the second stanza reads, Ndinga ngakhe ndiphalaze lenhliziyo yami ndililele ezizono kowandifelayo. I so wish I could pour out my heart and just cry for all the sins that I have committed, but not cry nje for the sake of crying. Cry to the person who died for my sins, because looking at the sins that I'm committing, I should have died for these sins, but now someone else had to step in, and it's just so sad. This is someone who is feeling remorseful for the sins that they've done, and they're just hoping that they could do something. And the least that you could do is just pour out your heart and cry for the sins that you've committed. The third stanza reads, Ndinga ngakhe ndicamange ngobubele bakhe ndicelele uxolelo lomphefumulo wami. So when I reminisce and I'm crying over the sins that I've done, I'm thinking of the person who died for the sins and their grace. So much grace to take people's sins and die for them. So in the midst of me crying and praying, I am also asking for forgiveness, not for myself, but for my heart, for my soul, and all the sins that I've done to be forgiven. We're going to move on to stanza 4, which reads, Ndinganalo iliso lokubona ikhaya ndomelezwe emandleni kwimizamo yami. If only I could have eyes to see what it's like up there in heaven. If only I could have the eyes to see what is there, so that it could maybe inspire me to be stronger in everything that I do, all the attempts that I keep making to be a better person, to be a better Christian, and they keep being demolished. I hope that as I am praying, as I have the vision of what heaven is like, I could then be strong, give up, push harder and harder, so that I can eventually make it to the place that I keep imagining. The last verse reads, like I did say in the previous dissections that we've done, everything leads up to the final hymn where now the person gets what they've been praying for. Let's read. Dinga lakutshona ilanga lobu bomi bam ndingamkelwa ngabangcwele bakaThixo wami. So that everything that I have done in these 4 stanzas, I've prayed, I've cried, I've asked for forgiveness, I've stayed strong, and I've prayed to go to the home that I imagine. I hope that when the sun sets on my life, I can go home and be welcomed by my fellow brothers and sisters who are already up in heaven. And with that being said, that is where we close off our hymn dissection and our video. Please let me know if you have any hymn suggestions. Let me know what you'd like me to talk about on our next video, and just let me know the type of content that you'd like me to create in the future. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. Please don't forget to subscribe, give this video a like, and drop a comment on the comment section. And please do not forget to click the notification bell so that you can be notified when my videos go up. That being said, I love you so very much. One heart, one way.